Assalamu alaikum. Welcome at National Institute of Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation Sciences. I am Sadaf Subhi, Senior Lecturer at NIPERS. Thank you for joining us. Today, we are going to start a topic about spondylolisthesis. In today's session, we will going to cover following aspects of our topic. Start with the definition first. As you can see, it is divided into two, that is spondylo, spine, and listhesis is slippage. So, spondylolisthesis is a forward slip of one vertebra relative to another. Before further discussion, let's talk about anatomy of the vertebra first. In this topic, we are going to discuss spondylolisthesis at lumbar vertebra, which is more common side. We will not going to talk about whole anatomy of the lumbar vertebra, but only some major features of it. So we have pars interarticularis, portion of bone between superior and inferior articulating processes and the thinnest part of the neural arch. It is the weakest area in the neural arch which is susceptible to stress fracture. Then we have neural arch, bridge of bone formed by the posterior elements of a vertebra that surrounds the spinal cord. Then we have facet joint, the contact junction between the inferior articular process of one vertebra and the superior articulating process of the vertebra below it. And the pedicles, thick bony studs that connect the vertebral body with the posterior elements. So, in spondylolisthesis, a forward slip of one vertebra relative to another is due to any type of stress that weakens the bone so much that it is unable to maintain its proper position. The vertebra can start to shift out of place, that is, one bone slides forward over the bone below it. And this forward slipping of the vertebra may affect the nerves also. There is a tendency to regard spondylolysis as a constant feature of spondylolisthesis. Here is the classification. So, number one is congenital dysplastic abnormalities, that is spina bifida. Then we have ischemic, that is fractures. Ischemic break in pars articularis, it could be lytic, which is stress fracture, could be healed fracture, elongated or intact, or it could be acute high energy fracture. Then we have degenerative. Degenerative, as indicates degeneration due to age or overuse. It usually affects older people and occurs most commonly at the level of L4, L5, and this is the most commonly encountered by the physical therapist. It could also be degenerative ligamentous instability or facet joints degeneration. Then we have traumatic. It is a fracture of hook other than the pars, either pedicle, lamina, or facets. Then we have pathological spondylolisthesis. It can be result from a pathologic process causing weakening of the pars, pedicle, or zycophyseal joints. Then we have post-surgical laterogenic surgical excision of posterior elements. The pathophysiology of dysplastic pathway or traumatic pathway could be congenitally ill-developed pars interarticularis or repetitive activity at any age. It could be microtrauma, weakened pars interarticularis, people lifting heavy weights, improper repetitive strainful activity like driving or stress fracture, weakened pars interarticularis. So all these pathological factors can cause spondylolisthesis. Here is the grading system. The spondylolisthesis is graded by measuring how much a vertebral body has slipped forward over the body beneath it. So if the body is less than 25% slipped forward, it would be in grade 1. Then in between 25% to 50%, it's in grade 2. Then we have grade 3, which is 50% to 75%. Then we have grade 4, which is 75% to 100%, and the grade 5, in which the vertebral body completely fallen off, that is spondyloptosis. The lateral view of X-ray will help to measure the grade and the slip angle. We will cover further aspects of this topic in the next video. Thank you again for your time.